Hello and welcome to an episode of What the F. So this week's episode, I thought what I'd like to try and do is do a questions and answer session. Because I mean the viewer figures on the videos I've done so far hasn't been huge, but it's nice that people are watching them. However many there are. So what I did was I put the word out on Facebook and on Twitter that tweet me or post questions and I will answer them. And some people did respond to it, and I thank them for that. I'll mention them here. And I've chosen the questions. Well, I'm going to answer all the questions that were sent to me. So again, thanks to those who responded. Right, so the first question is from a friend of mine on Twitter, Kelly. Kelsbell64 is her Twitter name. And her question is, tell us about your best convention experience. Now, I'm a regular attendee at sci-fi conventions, and I've been going to them since 2003. I've had some brilliant experiences, some great experiences, but I think the best has to be, without a doubt, something that happened this year at a convention called Invasion. I organized I organized with some friends that I met at previous cons, and we talked about it on Facebook and Twitter that this year at the convention we would be a group. Cosplay is what it's called, and we went back and forth about what we were going to do, and we decided we wanted to do something in a Batman theme. Now, if memory serves, I think there was originally 7 of us, because we had Batman, and the others it turned out were going to be the villains. Now I kind of early co-opted the Riddler, and it was a friend of mine. Let me see if I remember off the top of my head. It was a friend of ours, Zara. She was Catwoman. Shona was Harley Quinn. Kayla was Poison Ivy. Mark was the Joker, and Marcus was the Penguin. Now, in the lead up to the convention, the guy who we had, who was going to be Batman, couldn't go. So we went from 7 to 6, which kind of worked out well because it was a good theme, because we were the villains of Gotham. We called ourselves the Gotham Gang. So it worked out fine. So anyway, we got to the convention. We had a little bit of a meeting beforehand, saying like, how we were going to walk out. Were we going to do a little bit of a routine? What were we going to do? Because in the costume competition, each entrant walks out, does a kind of a circle of the room, and they walk past the judges. And Marcus, who was our penguin, had a great idea. He brought with him a bag, and he filled it with penguin bars, the chocolate bar penguin. He filled it with penguin bars, and then he goes, I'll walk past the judge's table and it'll be like a little joke, like a little bribe. And he would spread the penguin bars across the table. And a brilliant idea. It was good, it was funny. And so he said, fuck yeah, let's do that. So anyway, the day came, we all got into our costumes. We went into the waiting area where all the entrants were kind of organized. There was a big group made up of, I think, 15 people. One of the entrants was 15. Group of 15, and they were Marvel characters like Iron Man, the Hulk, Thor, Hawkeye, all sorts from the recent Marvel films. It was a group of 15, and I remember looking at them thinking, we're screwed, because brilliant costumes. But I enters just for the crack, just for fun, So it was a good laugh. We'd have a good time. Good time will be had by all. So we got together. I drank a lot of Jack Daniels and Coke because I was very nervous. I'd entered the costume contest before, but never the group, so I was kind of nervous. I brought the Jack Daniels and whiskey. It's like, is anybody nervous? They can take a swig off this. Well, I drank it all. So then we got in line, and they started naming the people. They would go out walking in front of the judges. A big round of applause, and then back to the back of the line, because they would parade us all out. At the end, they would parade us all out again, and then we'd have to wait while the judges decided. So then it came our time. Now what we decided to do was we'd walk in twos. Now Shona and Mark, who were our Harley Quinn and the Joker, would walk out together because obviously Harley Quinn and the Joker were a couple in the comics. And myself and Zara, me as the Riddler and Zara's Catwoman, would walk out together. And then there was Marcus, who was our Penguin, and Caleb, who was Poison Ivy. We would go in twos, and the second we were announced, we walked out. Now the only sad thing here is I was at the front, so and Marcus, who was our Penguin, was at the back, so I never did see him spread our bribe of Penguin bars. I never saw that, but I'd love to have seen that. So we walked out, did our little catwalk walk, if you will. And no, it was great. Good laugh. So then the costume contest was finished. Judges retired, and I went outside because that's where everyone else was. We went outside to chat to some people. Some people were outside smoking, and I just went outside and was a bit nervous. So then word came back, oh, it's back. The decision is in. They then announced best. They had categories. They had best group, best solo, and best child. And the best group was announced, and lo and behold, it was us. The Gotham Gang had won, and I couldn't believe it. I was so happy and so excited about it. It was just I remember I had the Riddler came, and I just kind of bounced it off. The floor. It was made of plastic, so it bounced. I was just like, yes, we were just so delighted. We walked out, everyone's clapping and cheering. It was fantastic. And we collected our prize, which is essentially a kind of a framed kind of trophy thing. That said best group, and it was signed by all the guests who were attending that weekend. And it was just such a surprise because we saw some of the other costumes. Some of the other costumes were fantastic and brilliant. The Marvel crowd, again, they had 15, and the Marvel thing is fresh in people's minds at the moment. So I personally didn't think we would win, but I was hopeful, and we were rewarded. It was just such a fantastic moment, and it's one I'll never forget. It was just one of the best moments. I've had some great moments at the convention over the years. That was by and far the best moment. So thanks, Kelly, for that question. So the next question is from Marcus Hunt, who was our Penguin in that cosplay. He's Marcus Hunt on Twitter. And he said, list your top 5 favorite sci-fi films. Well, that was a tough one because again, I'm a geek, big geek. I love science fiction. I don't love all science fiction. There's some science fiction I don't like, but I love a lot of science fiction and a lot of films in particular. And it was just such a hard thing. I know when I list this 5 because I did list the 5 that are just science fiction ones that I just love and will watch repeatedly. If I was stranded on a desert island, I'd want a DVD player, TV, and these 5 films. I'd be fine for entertainment. So I know once I make this list, I'll probably think of, oh, I should have said that. But this is the 5 that are fresh in my mind at the moment. They're fantastic films. They're in no particular order. And the first one is Avengers. In America, it was called The Avengers, but The Avengers means something else in England. So in England, it was called Avengers Assemble. It was just a fantastic science fiction film because it was the payoff. We had great movies like Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, and we had all the superhero movies, and it was all leading up to this one movie where we would see them all in the same film. It was just fantastic. And fellow geek Joss Whedon was at the helm, so that was even better because we knew it was going to be good with him in charge. And next would be Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Now I picked that one primarily because I think it's probably the first science fiction I ever saw. I was 7 years old when I discovered science fiction. I saw the movie on holiday and I just fell in love with it. And I've been a Trekkie ever since. I love Star Trek. And that was the first Star Trek movie I ever saw. And I couldn't leave out the greatest superhero of them all, Superman. Because again, I'm a big Superman fan. I went on and on about it in a previous video, a 2-parter. And it's just one of my favorite movies of all time because I just love it as a kid, still do, because it stands the test of time. It doesn't it doesn't seem like, oh, they should remake this. They've rebooted it like recently with Man of Steel, but again, you cannot beat the original movie, and you can't beat Christopher Reeve. There is no greater Superman than him. And then the next one is another Joss Whedon related movie, and it's Serenity, which was the movie offshoot from the short-lived sci-fi series Firefly. It only lasted 14 episodes. It was a brilliant TV series. Fox's biggest mistake was cancelling it, but we got a movie out of it, and the movie was just fantastic. Excellent movie, big build-up. I wouldn't even look at the trailers. It was a fantastic film. I loved it. And the fifth and final one is has to be without a doubt Planet of the Apes. The original movie, no, not the shitty version that Tim Burton made. The original with Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowall. It was a great film. One of my all-time favorites, because I can remember watching it, and when the big revelation is made at the end, spoilers, that he was on Earth the whole time. I initially didn't get it at first, but when I finally understood, I was like, holy crap, that was a huge surprise. It was almost like the revelation that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father. Sorry if I spoiled that for anyone. But it was just such a surprise. You never saw it coming. Like at the end, when Charlton Heston as Taylor is leaving, you have Dr. Zaius telling him, don't look for it, Taylor. You may not like what you find. And he was certainly fucking right, because the movie ends with Charlton Heston on the sand just smacking the ground. Damn you all to hell. Just such a classic movie. And the remake was terrible. And the new one was pretty good, but again, it's just one of the best science fiction films of all time. Right, so the next question is from Mark Sutton on Facebook. And he asked me, what's your top 5 fancy dress costumes? Now, that's a tough one too, because I've done varying costumes over the years. Some simple, some elaborate. I find the least amount of effort I ever put into costumes are when I win something. And this works better with the visual aids, so these would be my 5 favorite cosplay costumes that I've ever done. Cornholio, the alter ego of Beavis from Beavis and Butthead. Sir Robin, the not quite so brave Sir Lancelot from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Silas, the albino monk from the Da Vinci Code. The transvestite lumberjack from Monty Python's Flying Circus. And my absolute favorite, the Riddler. This was part of a cosplay group in which we were the villains from Batman. It was called the Gotham Gang. And that last picture was actually the Gotham Gang, which I mentioned earlier in my best memory, and good costumes all around, I think you'll agree. Right, so the final question is from a friend of mine, Neve, Dr. Nevo on Twitter, and she asks me, do you find that you mainstream, or do you tend to keep geek preferences for geeky friends? Well, I think that's a good question. I think I understand what she's asking me. I think what she's asking me is, am I a geek, an out geek, if you will, or do I kind of rein it in and not, like, do I kind of keep it from people in the sense that, I'm not always talking about geeky things. I'll only talk about the geeky people. Question is, no, actually, I don't. It's hard for me to kind of keep that side of my personality away from other people who might not necessarily be into it, because it's part of who I am. I love science fiction. I love all those things. I'm a geek. I have what we consider geeky tattoos. I have like the ship Serenity from Firefly on my arm. I have the Superman logo. I have the Angel tattoo. I have Stargate. So I mean, those things can be covered, but I think my most prominent display of my geekness, you can't see it now, but T-shirts. I wear T-shirts most of the year. I have a lot of them, and a lot of them are geeky. Like I got multiple Superman T-shirts. Jaws T-shirt is one of my favorites that I have. I have a red shirt with there's a bazinga. Now the geeks out there and the people who love the Big Bang Theory will know what that is. It's a kind of a shirt I think that Sheldon wears, and it's a great T-shirt. I love it. And there are others, like I have like Doctor Who T-shirts. Again, I said Superman, and other like I have Avengers T-shirts, Iron Man, Captain America. So I wear these T-shirts a lot, and they're pretty kind of geeky when people see them. Like I was wearing a T-shirt the other day Serenity, the Firefly. And I was in a shop, I was buying something. It was actually in Easton's, I was buying a book. And the person serving me just saw the t-shirt and said, "Oh, you're a brown coat, are you?" Which, to the geeks out there, know brown coats are what Firefly fans are referred to as. And it was just great because there was someone who recognized that there's a lot of people in my life who aren't into the science fiction geek thing like I am. So it's nice when little moments like that. And I talk to people about the geeky things even when they're not into it. I recently had a long conversation with a friend of mine in regards to the recent casting of Ben Affleck as Batman. And I was pointing, "Oh no, it's not too bad, it's not bad either." But I was able to talk about it to her, and she's not as geeky into it. She's a little bit of a geek, but she's not as big a geek as I would be. And I've spoken to other people about, you know, other science fiction and geeky things who aren't into it at all. So I don't really hide it. I just kind of, it's me, it's who I am. I'll talk about what I'm interested in, and it's what I'm into. So I don't really rein it in. I mean, the only time I ever tried to had to rein it in is when I went to see the Star Trek movie that came out, the first Star Trek movie that J.J. Abrams did, and I'd never felt more like a geek than at this point. I was in the cinema; the movie hadn't started yet, and there was a couple sitting behind me, a man and a woman. Now it was clear she wasn't into it, but he was. They were talking back and forth, and she was talking about the character of Spock is an alien, and the fellow goes, "Yeah." He goes, he's what kind of alien is he? And the guy goes, "Well, he's a Vulcan, and Vulcans, they have no emotion." And I didn't, but I felt like turning around to him and saying, "That's not true." Because if anyone knows Star Trek, they know that Vulcans suppress emotion. They're not devoid of it; they just suppress it, and they unleash it every 7 years when they're mating. It's called Ponfar. And it was just, again, I had to rein it in then because it would have been weird to be a couple confronted by strangers saying, "Excuse me, that's not true." So it was no, that was, but so I don't really rein it in because it's out there for people to see. Again, as I said, with the t-shirts that I wear, and the like, I have the Converse shoes with superheroes on them. So when people see me, they know. They know I'm a geek. I don't need to speak about geeky things for them to know that I am one. They already know because they only need to look at either the t-shirt I'm wearing or the shoes I'm wearing, and they'll know. So that was a brilliant question, Neve. So thanks for that one. So that's it anyway. That was good. I enjoyed that. Now I'm going to try and do these Q&A sessions once a month. Next week I'll be back to the regular, topics every week. But I'll try and do one of these Q&A sessions once a month. So hope you enjoyed the video, and again, leave comments if you want. Let me know what you think. If you want to ask me questions in the future, feel free to leave them with this video, or seek me out on Twitter or on Facebook. So that's it. Take care, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.